Hello, PDHP parents. I'm Carrie Ann Fitzgerald from the Program for the Development of Human Potential, and I'm so glad that you join me for these pieces. It's so important to come together as parents and discuss these different issues, especially when we're unable to really do so in person. So I really appreciate your presence and being here and your sharing different ideas. We are talking about hashtag parents, which is our social media and your child piece, which is very popular. There is a lot going on around it. We talk about trends, we talk about tips, and right now we are in the trend piece. And I know I have heard from you on that question that I posed. What technology do you recall from when you were a child around your kid's age, or maybe if you have a few kids, the one closest to the age 10? And we look at that and we look at some different staying power that's going on. But I know that we can definitely um, see that technology has moved very quickly, especially in our kids' lifetime, which adds to the challenges that we face in parenting. Okay, parenting alone is very difficult. Um, we're never quite prepared for it. There are challenges that seem to come up very often. It's not always cut and dry. And we add to that the fact that we are doing something that no one has done before, no other generation before. We are digitally parenting. What do I mean by that? Well, we have digital citizens living in our house. As a teacher, I always learned how to influence my lessons for the children in front of me, the learners in front of me. And there are different ways that everyone learns. You know, you may be a visual learner that you'll have to read something or look at something. You may be an auditory learner where you'll have to hear, so maybe like lectures are great for you. Or you're a kinesthetic learner where you're doing something tactile. You know, that's where all those manipulatives in math come in. But, you know, as much as we learned that, back in about 2011, we started talking about our digital learners. Yeah. And very quickly, those digital learners started to be expressed as digital citizens. I want to say about 2014, I started to hear that terminology about our kids. What is it? A lot of them, we're looking at a generation that has grown up with this caliber of technology. So the way they grasp concepts about the world are very different from anyone before. You and I, for example, had a level of technology, but not as great, not as holistic and inclusive as we see, or comprehensive as we see. The way our kids are getting their information, their education, their socializing, it all comes back to this formation that's digital. Okay, it's a digital plane. So we consider them what's known as a digital native, whereas most of us are digital immigrants, where we didn't have this level. Okay, there are new ways to do everything that we had done previously. Something that I see happen almost often is that the ages of digital devices and their users become younger and younger. It used to be like a junior high thing. Then it became maybe a fifth grade thing. Then maybe a fourth grade thing. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing about second graders making their first communion and getting smartphones. And then I'm hearing about principals having a really tough time at arrival in the morning because maybe they have a drop-off line and that pre-K or nursery pre-K3 child does not want to get out of the car because they want to watch one more YouTube video because that device is right in front of them. And it's causing a lot of turmoil for parent, for child, for school, for the other parents who are trying to stop, drop, and roll over there. So, you know, that's something to consider. We look at brain development in the past few years. Our previous concept of 18 years old being the time when a brain is fully developed and you are officially an adult is no longer. They said 25. Now they're saying 25 to 30 is when we come into full fruition of brain matter being completely established. And that affects ethics, judgment, consequences, reactions, pros and cons and balances. And this is all skill that I bet for some of you being social media users, you incorporate without even realizing it because it's your second nature, because you're developed. But our kids don't have that yet. And they are faced with a lot of information to take and to synthesize in that matter when they're not yet ready, when their brain is not yet ready. And we also talk about the fact that when we look at the tween and teenage years, there's a lot of issues around self-esteem and development and social emotional issues and body image. And there's a bombardment really there of this information. A lot of kids are basing esteem on how many followers and how many likes and how many friends they have and how many hearts and thumbs ups they get for almost everything that they do and post. Let me put it to you this way. You and I grew up, it's a little cut and dry. A is for apple. B is for boy. C is for cat. Our children, A is still for apple, but it looks different. B is for Bluetooth. C is for chat. Different. Data is very quickly generated. If you think about it, there is a site that I will share called Internet Stats Live, and I think it's a great tool for anyone who has kids in their households. Remember, they're digital, they're visual. You show this to them. It's a free site, and it shows you, when I've screenshotted it, in about 90 seconds, over 2 billion gigabytes of information are transferred through the internet. Moves very quickly. You can check out each social media icon. You could check out what's been uploaded in a second, say to Instagram, for example. But it leaves some questions. How much time is being used here? How many emails? How many Google searches? How many videos are watched? How many videos are uploaded? How many files are saved? Who exactly is posting this, and why are we viewing it? Why are these things being posted? Kids often have this very altruistic and self-centered view. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner whatsoever, it's just a developmental fact. That's where they are. They're naive and innocent in that, though. And the thing is, they don't really understand some of the parameters or the backstory around that. They don't realize that this can be a very big money-making industry. They don't realize sometimes that there are very bad people out there who maybe create something that looks fun and innocent and they enjoy, but have very bad intentions behind that. We also have been seeing, when I started this, I remember we were in Nazareth High School. I think it was the first night I did this. And a father said to me, where's the regulations on this? Who's protecting our kids? And, it was a really good comment. In the past few years, there have been more regulations that were put out. We hear more and more about COPPA Act, COPPA, Children's Online Privacy and Protection Act. Asks that children under 13 are not on social media sites. We also have guidelines that come out of WHO, or the World Health Organization, when it comes to children under 5 and screen time. We also have the American Academy of Pediatrics weighing in and saying, on a daily note, 3 hours of screen time would be fine as long as it is supervised and as long as it is educative hours. And now we look at the time that we live in and we are going to remote work. And of course, it's educated and it's supervised as we can possibly make it, but it is far past that time. So we hear of apps, we hear of the digital generation. What are some other platforms? What are some of the trends? Where are our kids? We will talk about that again when I see you next week, and we will flush that out a little bit. I thank you so much for always being present, and I thank you for your dedication for your kids. Take care.